What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the 116 Live here on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. Listen, it's me, Meah Evans, and we got the one and only, the legend himself. We got Ace Harris in the building.
What's up?
Listen, y'all, we have a great show, and we already had bits of it. Well, honestly, shout out to our engineer, Matt, who be holding down the operation. We just be kind of like just casually talking, and then there's a parts of our conversation that we had off air that we're gonna bring to the air.
For sure.
And you tuned into a really good one this week. Listen, so first, before we get started, Super Bowl just happened.
Right.
Halftime show. Shout out to Usher, who killed it. Usher, did you watch Usher's halftime?
I did. I mean, you know, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great. I didn't let my kids watch though.
Okay, look, smart.
No, one of my other homies, he didn't know. I mean, they're a little older, but he was just like, wow, I had to kind of explain some stuff away. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Usher's a great performer, you know what I'm saying? Atlanta staple. So one of the greatest entertainers living, honestly.
No, I was trying to think. I feel like personally, this was Usher's halftime was personally for me probably my favorite. Only because it's just, one, it was just so Atlanta, and I love that. I knew that was going to be a part of it, but I don't know. Usher's just a real true entertainer
for sure
and performer. You got people who can just kind of like, you know, just stand in front of a mic and kind of just do whatever, and you got to teach them at 8 count or whatnot, but like he has been doing this for years.
Yeah, I mean, we was talking about that too, like earlier at staff. We were just like, to rock a Super Bowl performance is not easy. I feel like it's a very short list of people who can do a 15 to 20 minute Super Bowl halftime performance and actually keep people's attention.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest performance stages in the world. And I felt like Usher, I mean, people had a couple thoughts about maybe they thought he was doing too much. I'm like, yo, I'd rather you do too much.
Really?
I mean, I'd rather you do too much than too little.
It's the Super Bowl halftime. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if there's any excuse to do the most, I feel like it's that.
And people thought he would like kind of rush through some of the songs. Like he was giving like, some songs he literally said like 2 words, like
he did.
On to the next.
He did. I had a list of things that I really needed Usher to do. What
was that?
One of them was he needed to skate. But I feel like anyone who knows.
You already had that before he skated.
Oh no, I had 3 things. I said that if anything, Usher needs to skate. But if like people who know Usher, him growing up, like things like that, him being here in Atlanta, we knew like skating. My friend works at Cascade. She be seeing him when he pull up. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I knew skating was something that he had to do. It was necessary for him to bring Lil Jon and Ludacris. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like you not one or the other.
Yeah.
It had to be them. I'm gonna lie, I lost my mind when I saw Luda up there.
Luda
It was just super needed. The only thing Usher did not do that I really needed him to do was look smack dab in the camera and do watch this. That was just like all I needed.
He should have. He had many times to do that.
You know what I'm saying? I just feel like, you know, we hyped up this moment so much.
Yeah, he missed that.
And he just should, I don't know. It was just something I feel like he really needed to do. But I think he, very solid. Right. Very solid halftime show.
For sure. Yeah, I think people were ranking it as one of the top 5. I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, I feel like that's too hard for me to pick. But I feel like his performance is one of the most memorable.
No,
so I
very
think that's the way I would say it's one of the greatest. It's just you can't forget it.
Yeah.
The skates, the energy. There's some stuff on there that, you know what I'm saying, like probably wasn't safe for some of my kids to see, because it was just like, maybe I was like an old head. I was like, it's too much movement going around, too much dancing and whatever.
Too much
you know, poles and such. I was like, yo, what's going on? It was very Atlanta.
Very,
I mean, what'd you think about that? Did you feel like Atlanta was fully represented? Like, and how is that a good thing? And maybe what are some things about that, you know, maybe wasn't the best or whatever?
I think it definitely was Atlanta. Of course, seeing the poles in the back behind Luda. You know what I'm saying? That was definitely very Atlanta of them. And I think they did a great job of representing Atlanta. Of course, even when it comes to, of course, the music, but of course the artistry as well. Like, of course, like Jermaine Dupri being up there was a really big deal. You know, authentically black. Like, I love that. Skating, that's a very big thing here in Atlanta.
Did you grow up skating?
No, I didn't, Ace, and I wish I
feel like
did.
You and your sister seem like the kind of girls who would have been skating every weekend.
No, when I tell you I lived in the suburbs, no, we did not have nothing like that.
You ain't had no skating
well, I mean, we did, but my parent, and plus like my mama, she wasn't trying to spend money like that. She's like, by the time we go skating every weekend, I can buy you a scooter. You know what I'm saying? Like just little things like that. But if I could be real with you, one of my New Year's resolutions or like goals for the year is to skate more. I just genuinely just love the environment of just skating here.
Right.
My friend works at Cascade, so I'd be at Cascade trying to learn and things like that. So seeing him skate was like really, really cool being able to see. But yeah, I feel like Atlanta was represented in all of its light. Definitely during halftime.
Let's talk. Yeah, I mean, shout out the 1K Few Project. Pray for Atlanta because
we
need to say pray for Atlanta.
For real.
So yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. I think that you know, from an entertainment standpoint, Usher is he's one of the best. Even I would say, who can I even recall people like Beyonce who've killed it? Bruno Mars, Coldplay, Rihanna, Dr. Dre. I think there's been like it is a world stage of perform, entertain, engage, and like really draw people into your attention. So I think my takeaways was how, even as some of the artists here, I've been thinking about, okay, how do we think about our live show? How do we think about how do we perform at a big stage? And from an artistry standpoint, not necessarily from a faith standpoint, what is the thing you're going to leave that's memorable? And I think that is one of the things that I took away from the Usher performance. Like, you're going to remember them skates. Yeah. You're going to remember the Alicia Keys, the good... We're gonna park her. I ain't going there. I am not going there. Shout out one of the greatest.
Greatest vocalists.
Shout out Alicia Keys. But I think I'm like, even in the music we make, even in the content we put out, as we're trying to honor God with our excellence, I'm like, okay, what do people remember? You know what I'm saying? I feel like Usher absolutely nailed that side of like, you can't forget what he did on that stage. You can't. He was a memorable moment. I mean. Say more. I mean, what do we think about that? I think Usher. I'm trying to put my finger on it before he even got the opportunity to do Super Bowl halftime. Yeah. I remember saying like 2 years ago, I was like, why hasn't Usher done anything like that? You know what I'm saying? Right. And I think he just has the discography, and I think it even proves to even just showing, and we're going to talk about this later on during the show, of just like, I think Usher's in like his 40s, if I'm not mistaken. Like 43, 44.
And the fact that he just gets opportunities like the Vegas residency. Sure. And I heard him say how he prolonged his residency in Vegas, therefore Jay-Z could see like, like I'm the only person fit to be able to like, do this halftime in Vegas, you know what I'm saying? So I thought that was really dope. I'm not gonna lie to you, one thing that I thought was so interesting that I personally didn't know was I didn't know they didn't get paid for doing the halftime. I didn't know that.
I mean, technically, but they get,
But I know like Super Bowl, they take care of like the production and things like that. But I was like, brother, don't walk away with no money. Like this is the biggest thing. But when you think about it, I didn't know that. Hey, look, I didn't realize the benefit that being the Super Bowl halftime performer has. I didn't know that your album sales go up. You don't even have to drop anything new. Just your album sales go up. I know Usher's about to go on tour, so his tour sales went
Selling out too.
Streams go up, things like that. Like the amount of exposure is crazy. So I was thinking like, dang, like, is it for someone who's even been in their career just as long, like Usher, it's worth it. In a sense, I guess.
You just made me think about something, Meah, like, the platform of the Super Bowl is so valuable in that they're not even going to pay you. You pay them to be on their platform.
Yeah.
And it made me think about some people who actually did that on the commercial side, which was, I think the He Gets Us ads. I don't know if you saw some of the ads. They were like, they're basically Christians that have been buying ad time at the Super Bowl.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And I think the campaign's called He Gets Us, I believe. I've been doing a little research on who funds it. A bunch of really powerful Christians. And there's been a couple of criticism on the ads themselves. I don't necessarily want to dive into that, but I was thinking like, wow, $5, $6, $7 million of ad space for an ad airing at the Super Bowl. Because again, it's one of the biggest platforms to air a message that points people to Jesus. Some folks felt like that money could be better spent. I don't know. I feel like in my head, I was thinking, yo, Lecrae, why don't we open up that budget?
Listen.
I was like, yo, why don't we put something on the Super Bowl? Like, if I had the money to do it, obviously I'd be. Sure. But what a platform, what a space to just, all eyes are in. Shout out the campaign. I'm not, look, regardless of the message and all that kind of stuff, people talking about Jesus on a Super Bowl ad, hey, more power to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Talking about the Usher, to lead with that, the reason why I didn't have my kids watch Meah, and this is obviously like an old head thing, there's some things about Atlanta culture that are celebrated, the hip hop, the energy, the enthusiasm, the entrepreneur energy, all those things are good. But there's the other side that I want to talk about, which is like, there is like a sense of misogyny, right? Mm-hmm. There is a sense of degrading women, or some women will argue, no, we're being empowered by how we present it. projected. I'm not here to take that away from you. I'm just saying what I see isn't always, it don't seem empowering to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, what are some things that we can learn, that Atlanta can probably learn from that performance that, I mean, we like consume the good, but we got to discard some of the bad too. I mean, what are some of your thoughts on that? I know it's complicated, like polls and all that. And, you know, I don't want to say the words, but I want to keep this family friendly.
Yeah,
but
no, for
there's things about Atlanta culture that culturally we subscribe to, but spiritually we have to like, be
able to decipher.
Hey, we can't endorse all that.
Yeah,
you know
for sure. Because like when it comes to, I'm all for women. I feel like Atlanta is a city, or like maybe one of the cities, I can only just say the city just because like this is what, you know, we're used to.
Sure.
Is where you meet a lot of powerful women, Black women even, you know what I'm saying? Especially with us, you know, being around the time of Black History Month, you know, it's celebrated to be like, you know, a woman, like we're big on encouragement. You meet a lot of bosses and things like that. And we are empowered. However, the part of like we were talking about with the polls and different things like that, where
the dancing.
Yeah, the dancing, where it's people to some, it's still empowering. I highlight and I love the side of Atlanta where it does empower women and where it's natural for you to meet women who are doing it, killing it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it is discouraging to see where not even, not just men even, but even women where they identify solely in the physical, the physicality of the empowerment, and it's solely rooted in through that. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
No, that's good. I mean, it's just, I mean, we could probably say more. I have a lot I want to share because to me, I've heard this preached. Watching the Super Bowl, seeing Usher, seeing the Jesus ad, seeing all these things. I'm happy for my city, and I'm celebrating entertainment. And I'm also, we live in a space where we're in the Bible Belt. Mm-hmm. We've been plugged in the churches here. We at Reach Records. All these things are being woven in. I'm just like, yo. And I've heard one of our pastors at Cornerstone preach this. Shout out Pastor Richard. He was like, Atlanta's like a modern day Corinth. Like the city is like you have this melting pot of like influence, wealth, entrepreneurship, and all these entertainment. And then you have this faith element, because Atlanta is very much a city known for its faith. And you go, even outside of the MLK, well, you could start at MLK, you can go to all these different things, and the Southern Baptist. And then so all these influences start to influence not just, I'm gonna not say the church, because that sounds a little heavy. The Christians in the city, we are influenced by these things that we see, and it just makes Atlanta to be an interesting place when we talk about faith, culture. Watching the Super Bowl as a Christian, seeing polls, and you're like, hey, So I'm always in this weird tension, being like a Black Christian in Atlanta. Yeah. And I think the Super Bowl just highlighted the tension that we live in a little bit, and kind of forces us to have this kind of conversation. Yeah.
And shout out to you, because honestly, it takes a wise man to even guard their children from certain things. Like my parents, I grew up in a real strict household. Like my mom wouldn't let us watch certain things that to me didn't make sense as a kid. You know what I'm saying? But growing up and now being older, and I don't want to say times have gotten worse now, but I'll say people have gotten bolder. Media's gotten bolder. You know what I'm saying?
Say it again. Say it again.
Media's gotten way more bolder with how they display and entertain us. You know what I'm saying?
Say that again. Talk.
Being able to, like, I watch my nieces throughout the day, so I have to even shield them from what they see. You know what I'm saying? So being able to even be a wise parent and be able to steward over what your boys, what they can see, what they can't see. Even though, it's music or whatnot, but they won't get it now, but they gonna get it later. We rather, because you never know what that one exposure, that one bit of exposure, that the couple of seconds, it was in the background. You thinking nothing of it, like, it wasn't anything, but you just never know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we probably need a whole parent segment, but I would love to. We could dive deeper as we get back, and just talk about the Atlanta culture, the Super Bowl into the Atlanta culture, Atlanta being kind of like a modern day Corinth. But it's the 116 Life, Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 140. I'm your host, Ace Harris, with the amazing Meah Evans. Be right back, y'all. This is the 116 Life, Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 140. I'm your host, Ace Harris, here with
Meah Evans.
Hey, so we just, talking about Super Bowl performances, and then the bigger conversation that we want to get into is just like celebrating Atlanta culture, but also like discarding the things in culture that we feel like are not things that we want to take home as Christians. And it's an interesting tension. I feel like being like a Black Christian in Atlanta is it's just like a lot of dynamics there.
Yeah.
Because like, if you're in Atlanta, you're like, not most people, I don't want to generalize. Let's just say even the South, you're like likely to be culturally Christian.
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage is, but like Christianity is very like prevalent in the South. Your mama, like about church. Like even you hear all the Atlanta rappers reference God or faith a lot of times. Because it's like
as often as there's a Waffle House in every corner, there's a church.
There's a church. And then you go and you shout out 1K Few, Church Has Trap House. You bring it to Atlanta, there's like literally churches across the street from liquor stores.
Yes.
Right around the corner from strip clubs. So Atlanta's an interesting place. So I've heard a preacher preach this where he mentioned that like Atlanta is like a modern day Corinth, because it's all this dynamics of culture, influence, faith, and then we're trying to be like actual followers of Christ, not like cultural Christians, people who like are Christian just because your mama them Christian, but like we actually trying to like live out the scriptures.
Yeah.
But also we ain't trying to be like a weird religious cult. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
good point.
Atlanta, I don't know if I felt like Atlanta's not what it was 10 years ago, and it's getting more weird.
Weird in its own world.
It's
literally.
its own world.
I've seen like TikToks of people talking about like Atlanta's a weird place, and I'm like, it can't be that weird. Then when they list the things that we do, I'm like, oh, or not. I don't say we, but like the city that I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that's just like normal.
I mean, if you even add the backdrop of like not shout out, but like some of our most famous rappers like YSL and Thug, who are having like real criminal charges brought against them.
Yeah.
And then there's like people that I know of the faith who are like saying free Young Thug. And then there's other people in barbershops, people close to those circles are saying like, nah, he actually did some of the stuff. So it's just an interesting tension. So I'm going to put out a story that I think also, brings to mind like, there's like a scammer culture in Atlanta. So in me celebrating the Usher and the Super Bowl, there's like parts about Atlanta that I'm like, wow, as Christians, we kind of have to reject. So my wife and I shopping in the shopping center, at TJ Maxx or whatever, in line. We see this 3 ladies. The line is like backed up, Meah. So it's like, everybody's kind of like, yo, what's going on?
What's the hold up?
And we get a little closer, we see these ladies and they're pulling out credit card after credit card. And they're trying to like check out. And they got like a bag of stuff. And so I'm trying not to judge. I'm like, okay, maybe they got, maybe they card, maybe they, maybe they cars ain't working. They can't get to the right cards. But in my heart, I'm like, hold up, what, these your credit cards?
Where are we at? Right, we in Atlanta.
We see them in the parking lot, and they hop into like this like brand new Jaguar, like clearly like a kind of a mock dealer tag. Everything looks sketchy. I'm just like, dang, these people probably out here scamming. And I'm not trying to judge them, but what it looks like is I've seen those kind of stories in Atlanta time and time again. So it's just interesting being in a city, being in a church, and we're trying to, live out the teachings of Jesus, trying to do the right thing. But integrity is not popular out here.
It's not.
It is not, especially in the city. It is not popular, yo.
You really have to be careful.
Yeah.
Of not just who you keep around you, but what you let like influence you. Because when I tell you, when you hear, and well, not even just hear, when you see the cars people are driving, see the amount of money they're making, seeing them go on these trips, but yet you find out how they're going about doing these things, like scamming, different things like that, you'll start to think, man, am I in the wrong industry? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I doing the right? But and you'll start to get discouraged on where you at. When I tell you, oh my gosh, Ace, you'll see people who are like, you'll see 22-year-olds living in penthouses, and you're like, how? But you work in a diligent job, 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be so careful here because it's so normalized.
It is
for people to, like, we were talking about that with our engineer, like it's so normalized for people to have a side hustle and also do something else. But for some people live these double lives where like, in the forefront, they do this one thing, but then they doing something else where they get money, where it's not the most integrous, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then you're thinking like, well, I mean, if I do it in the back and no one's gonna see, if I do it under the table, no one's gonna know. And it can be really,
is there a time where you felt or seen like being in Atlanta, being a Christian, being a Black woman, where you felt like your perspective was not hard, but it was like your perspective was like the minority in your environment or in your decision making? Is there a time where you've seen other people like just live out a different worldview around you, where it was almost like, this is kind of enticing and this is like the way of the culture? Is there a time where you kind of felt like, man, I almost am swayed, but I'm trying to hold on to like my values? You know what I'm saying?
Man. Yeah. When it comes to even me being a single woman.
Talk about it.
When it comes to dating, I can't tell you how many people tell me, oh, well, I mean, just get his number and why not? You know what I'm saying? Or like, why? Oh, flirt. You don't have to like them. You don't. I mean, it's just it's just this one time, or it's just you don't have to mean it. You can ghost them tomorrow. And I'm kind of like, well, if I want to be intentional, if I want to be not just respectful of my time, but someone else's time.
Sure.
If
have integrity. Okay.
You know, if I want to have integrity, and yeah, I want to tell you, I'm 27.
Okay.
I'm 27.
Okay.
I've been single 27 years of my life. Hard, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Being the only single person in your friend group. But so-and-so's dating with so-and-so, but yet they got so-and-so in their phone, and yet they got so-and-so slid up in their DMs, juggling different guys. You know what I'm saying? So like, or it's normal to be able to do whatever, dating culture here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you can feel discouraged. You know what I'm saying? Thinking that like, oh, well, man, I am. My pure little self. You know what I'm saying? Like, here I am going to Bible study while everybody else is, going out and meeting people and just living however they feel like they want to be able to date. And that's something where I've always had to check myself when it even comes to not letting that influence me, being okay with where I'm at, and not letting even my environment. I don't live in Atlanta, but I'm very submerged in Atlanta culture. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So
it's all around us.
It's all around us. You know what I'm saying? So
literally,
I would have to say
right around the corner. I mean, we're at Reach Records headquarters right here in Atlanta, West Midtown. Even though I don't like saying that word because it's weird because I'm from old Atlanta. There's literally like a strip club, right? There's a strip club this direction and that direction.
Yeah.
And then there's another church. A mega church down closer here. And I remember like there's like all kind of like adult stores all around. Look, it's just Atlanta's an interesting place.
It is.
And I just want to say I want to encourage you, Meah, like to continue to. I mean, you don't need me to say this to you because you already know that you know the vibes. But I mean, integrity wins out. You know what I'm saying?
Man, listen.
This is actually taking me to the scriptures like. This is actually like a common Atlanta influences everything, and I'm just like that says a lot. And I just want to, as us being here in this city, seeing what we see in culture, I want the church to influence Atlanta and be a place to where, as Christians, we're not so allow those little things kind of seep in. Because when I think about Moses, in the Old Testament, going up the mountain to that secret place to meet the Lord. And then like the Israelites are down there with Aaron, and it's like, yo, we need to get popping, man. We need to get these idols in here.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And I think Aaron was so swayed by the culture that was around him.
Oh, that's so
And it
good.
just took his focus off the Lord and onto the things of the culture. And that little drift, it seems subtle, right? That little DM, that little conversation, that little, oh, I may get this credit card, or I may go to this place, or I may go to this club. But these little slips seem innocent, and culture would probably encourage us to make those decisions. And the Atlanta culture definitely will. I mean, even the Atlanta Christians, it's like everybody's just like, yo, it's all good. It's all good. And I just wonder if, like Aaron in that moment where he's just like, you know what? Moses up there. You know what? Maybe. You know what? Let's party, y'all. Let's be free. Let's have fun. Let's celebrate. Let's do what feels right. And I wonder if those little subtle drifts into the wrong direction are where God's like, nah, Meah, nah, Ace, nah, anybody that's watching, nah, don't let culture influence y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all gotta influence culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job, Usher. Yes. But I mean, we're not here to make this about Usher, but let's not act like we are just gonna endorse everything as Christians. There's gotta be like a divide at some point.
It's gotta be.
There has to be a distinction, right?
That's how, I mean, I think we said this on a previous episode about how Jesus was in culture.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And people always want to make the excuse of, well, Jesus hang with sinners. No, sinners want to be around Jesus.
That's
you know
fair.
what I'm saying?
That's
so,
fair, yeah.
So we always think like we can, in a way, conform.
Sure.
Or we can be seen in these places with these people. It's okay for us to do this thing this one time. You know what I'm saying? Because God knows my heart. Or because like you're the believer amongst your friend group, your co-workers, things like that.
Yeah.
It won't be so. I'll offer them to see that I'm just like them, but you're not.
You're not.
It's hard to influence the world when you're like it. Like, how can we tell what's white and black?
Shout out Meah.
You know what I'm saying?
She on one right now.
But that's hearing you say that is on point. How can we influence the world trying to be like it?
Yeah.
That goes back to, of course, the don't be conformed to this world. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do we look like being in the church trying to be the light, and we go into these dark places and we trying to, like, you know, because I guess because we're too bright, or we don't want to.
Right.
I mean, a lot of things go into it. I mean, you can be self-conscious about what people are going to think about you. The list goes on, but we got work to do, man. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of things to do. And within the city that we're in, Atlanta, and everyone tuning in, of course, like the cities that they're in, you know that there's a need for something. Everything's always not going to be 100% pure. And you know, but we're called to these spaces, us entertainment.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? To be able to talk about things.
We're not saying go
we're
hide.
We're aware of what's in culture.
For sure.
We know what's going on.
We know what's going on.
But we're not we can't glorify everything. Because everything isn't worthy of being glorified.
Talk about that. I think that man, that's so well said. We can't glorify everything. There has to be a little bit of okay. I'm cool. It's not coming into those spaces, not looking at everything in media being like the judgment police either. I'm not saying we go on to others. I'm not saying we overcorrect and out here we're just like, yo, I'm just here to criticize and judge and police everything. I'm thinking more so, okay, guard our hearts. Yes. What are we subscribing to? And then either we're being influenced or we're influencing. And I just feel like the temperature I see in the city I'm in, and I know there's other places that people are watching from. Shout out y'all cities too. We're talking about Atlanta, the greatest city in the world. But there is I think there is a unique thing God's doing in the city, and it also expects from the city, from the Christians in this city, to like not allow culture to just creep into the way we live out our faith. And it is sometimes a struggle. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, it's just so immersed with hip hop and culture and faith, and these things get woven in. It's easy for things to kind of get glued together, and it's hard to. A word just hit me. Like, to be set apart, like to be in the world, right? So we're not supposed to be on an island. We're not supposed to be out here retreating. I don't think that's what I call it. We're supposed to be in culture. So we're in the world, not of the world. So to be in the world means we're mixing in, but there has to be. God still calls us to be set apart. It's an interesting diagram. It's like we're in the culture, but we're set apart. But we're not outside of culture. So how do we set apart in culture? That means there has to be something about us. There has to be a glow, a light that distinguishes us from the people who we're in proximity to. And if we're in culture and if we're not set apart, right, that means that we're kind of blending in. That means maybe our temperature or the light we're emitting, our values we're enforcing, the language we're using, what we're subscribing to is kind of mixing in, and we're not set apart. So it's like, I just want to, this is a challenge for myself, be in the world, not of the world, but while you're in the world, you got to be set apart from the people that God has called you to minister to. And the only way to do that is to like reflect his light in those spaces. And I just think it's a relevant conversation for Atlanta, faith, and not to like limit those people who are from different ethnic backgrounds, but I think specifically being a Black Christian in Atlanta is a thing. Being a devout Black Christian in Atlanta it's a certain
like
kind
the real deal.
The real deal, not the subscribe to what I want to do to. I love God, but I'm just gonna do what I want to do. Is God
submit
really
it?
submitted to the lordship of Jesus Christ and still being out here reflecting his goodness in those spaces. A lot to say. So
much more to say, man. We're going to come back with more here on the 116 Live here on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. It's the 116 Live, Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 140. I'm your host, Ace Harris. I'm kind of laid back right now because I feel like, man, me, we're having good comments. It's good just chopping up with you.
Honestly, y'all, if we could be real, this wasn't even what we were going to talk about.
It wasn't.
So it flowed really well. And even just, we're having these sidebar conversations even off air that are just fueling more of what we just even want to just be able to share with y'all.
And I think yeah, I mean, if you're just catching up or you've been watching or listening, you may hear a lot of, it could come across like we're just pointing and challenging and doing a lot of corrective and saying, hey, we should, you should, and it's a lot of commandment type instruction. I think that in the Christian faith, there's time and space for that.
Yeah.
And I just want to encourage y'all like that challenging is really coming back.
No,
right.
For sure.
It's here.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I ain't gonna lie, be in spaces where it's like, yo, Ace, you here? Yeah, I'm here.
Same.
So, but I also think this is a great opportunity to talk about the how, the like the examples that we do see, because we can always, like sometimes somebody said this a while back, that really blessed me. Shout out Kyle Korver, former Atlanta Hawks player, Christian, amazing dude. He said, the best criticism of the bad is the practice of the better. And it's like, wow, we can spend a lot of time criticizing what is wrong or spend more time practicing the better way. And I think if I can just encourage y'all, like one of the things I've seen to kind of influence culture the right way as a Christian in Atlanta, in the creative spaces, all these different things, we've talked about it, is carry your light and maintain your integrity. And I want to shout out Lecrae, someone I feel like who is at the crux of that dynamic for sure. And I've seen it in real time, been around him long enough to see like an actual godly man, a husband, a father, and an entrepreneur who employs a lot of different people. A lot of people are actually, their families are supported by the stewardship of Ben and Lecrae. Like the actual ripple effects of their good stewardship is a blessing to many other families. And I've seen those guys do it here in Atlanta with like the utmost integrity. Like, and I've seen Lecrae in spaces in LA, in Atlanta, where he's literally like, and he's, he's tall, Grammy Award winning. And it's like, people sometimes expect a hint of like, yo, yeah, but you, I know you on that Christian stuff, bro, but like,
yeah.
And it's like, he's like, nah. I mean, he maintains or has maintained his integrity, the best of I've seen in spaces where it's so easy to just forfeit it. And I wonder if I'm not saying doing the right thing is associated with God giving you material blessings, but I want to shout out the way that God does seem to honor those who honor him, that represent him in spaces where you could easily just falter. Like, shout out the Grammy Awards. Like, I wonder if God preserves some of those things, especially when it's in his name, because he don't want you out here representing him and fumbling his name. I don't think I mean, I'm not saying God can't get Grammys to people who are doing bad. I'm not saying God doesn't allow that, but I wonder if there's like a certain like grace or a certain favor. And shout out, my theologians don't crucify me here. But I wonder if there's a certain like, I allow certain things, certain rewards on this side of eternity.
Yeah.
Because you've been a good steward of my name and culture.
That's so good.
I just want, I don't know what your thoughts are or what you've seen or can speak to that a little bit,
I think you hit it right on the head. I think, because at the end of the day, God doesn't need us, but he wants us a part of his plan. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So at the end of the day, with that being said, he has to get glory.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Imagine you going into a space where you're able to be that light like we're talking about, but yet you don't give God the glory he deserves. You know what I'm saying? I think God will, I think God you has to use the ones he can trust. There's a story in the Bible. Oh man, that. And I know I just read it earlier this week. I hate that it slipped in my mind. But it was about a king where I think time and time again, I think he was like winning battles for Jerusalem and Judah, and he would always get the glory for himself. And
that's dope, Meah.
God knocked that man dead. You know what I'm saying? But it said specifically because he has yet again not given the glory to God. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
I'm not saying that God's going to smite everybody dead who don't do it. But what I am saying, though, is that I do believe that God wants the ones that he can trust, who will give him the glory, who will go to these spaces and influence those and point them back to him.
For sure.
At the end of the day.
Because what's the purpose of the influence if it's not to point them to a greater purpose?
Exactly.
I think that's the intent, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I know we was in LA for Grammy weekend, and shout out all the team. And it's amazing. First of all, we was doing some of the Grammy events before the actual ceremony on Sunday. So already there's like a Grammy nominated aura when you in these music industry events, and everybody's like, yo, you're Grammy nominated, yo, Ace. And I'm connecting with all my music industry peers. Shout out everybody that has been a blessing to me. And you're out here and you realize that this trophy, this physical idol has so much weight.
Yo, talk about it.
It has a lot of weight to it. And you're just trying to, and we're out here just trying to like, not be like the fake Christian humble either, where it's like, yo, man, I just want to. No, it's like, yo, God purposed us, allowed us to have it, to be nominated. So we're trying to like steward it well, and just, and I realized, talk about influence and culture. It's like, we can boast in ourselves in those moments, or we can use this opportunity to boast in the Lord. And I felt like that was kind of the temperature as we were kind of walking these spaces and shaking hands and taking pictures. Shout out Wande, shout out Katie and D, everybody that was out with, and we're in these spaces just trying to do our thing, right? And then when we win on Sunday, I mean the conversations change even more.
Right.
And I just felt a sense of like peace, because it's interesting. Meah is like talk about influence and the world platforms and things that people really think define themselves. I mean that win even opens up more opportunities to influence.
Yeah.
And I think we have to just be mindful of the award is great. Amazing. Shout out the award. Great. All the contributors. Yes. And how is God going to get the glory out of this award, and how he's going to use me through it? So, I mean, being in Atlanta, I think there's a way for Christian creatives to just not put so much emphasis on winning that thing or having these accolades, because they're good in and of themselves. But even if you got it, how does God benefit from your material success? That's a question. And that's a question, I don't know, I think people got to ask those. I mean, are people having those, are they asking themselves those hard questions? How
does God get the glory out of all this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I've had friends who have influence in like, art and in drawing and visual artistic, their abilities, and of course the creative space.
For sure.
And I would have friends who would ask, well, I mean, how do I be a Christian artist? Like, or how do I use this to glorify God and things like that? And most people think that it's just, it's like you putting it in your Instagram bio, like Christian artist or like Christian chef or like, and the thing is that people will never, everybody may not see your Instagram or see, the things that the written things that will to you validate who you're doing it for. But I think it's just a matter of like your walk. When you go into these spaces, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you leave it? How do you affect it? Like when you go in, you know what I'm saying? Like, how are you able to expose them to the greater one through your art, through your clothing, through you being an electrician? Like people think that you have to just say it explicitly. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But I think it's also, and I was thinking about this in the last segment we were talking about, where it's trusting the light that's inside of you.
That's
you know what I'm saying? Because we think that it's not enough. And I don't know who told us that lie. Like we think that it's not enough for us to be able to go into these spaces and we deem ourselves as the religious or things like that if we bring up these things. But I feel like, I don't know where it was where we, and this speaks to me too. Like I'm not discrediting myself even from this. I don't know why sometimes we think that the light inside of us won't shine through. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you put a light over something, like, some way, somehow the light get through. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
In what we do, if we're living that life, walking that walk, talking that talk, truly, authentically, the light's gotta come through.
It's gotta come through.
You know what I'm saying? So beyond you putting things in your Instagram bio and you saying that, even for the CHA space, that you're a Christian rapper and things like that, it's gonna shine through. Are you making the space for it to shine through? Are you trying to dim it down? You know what I'm saying? Are you trying to nullify what's already on the inside of you? Are you trying to regress it opposed to progress it? You know what I'm saying? So I think we just got to be able to trust what's already in us. You know what I'm saying? Let that shine through. Don't try to hold it back. And I don't know. Give God the free reign to be able to let himself come through us. Let us be able to be the vessels he can use in these industries and in these spaces.
Let him be the vessel. Yeah. Allow us to be used. And then when you surrender, when you said let it shine through you, he'll ultimately direct you. You'll be able to influence culture, and without even trying so hard. If it's in you, it'll shine through. The influence goes, and hopefully, if we just continue to be honest with ourselves about where we at, and just honest about what we can't always glorify too. Oh, you said that earlier. That was so dope. I was like, we can't always glorify everything. We in it, not of it. And we just continue to just hold fast to the things that we know are true, honorable. I think Paul talks about it in the New Testament. And if we do those things, I think God gets the glory. God is honored. And you know what? Sometimes God is glorified. He gets honored, and he does. There are he can bless you materially on the world. And I want to make sure people, because I know people are sitting there, oh man, you Grammy nominated, you got all these things, yada, yada, yada. You can say that. God doesn't have to give you a Grammy Award to bless you at all. God doesn't have to give you material success in your music career. God doesn't have to give you this. We're saying influence. Influence may look different for you, me, this person. Influence can be you just influencing your immediate family circle.
Yes, come on.
To know him, right? Influence can be you're helping change the city you're in. You're helping change the Atlanta that you live in by just showing up to work differently. Maybe the conversations at the office break hour are different now. Maybe the weekend getaways with your friends are just a little different because you're reflecting his light. You're not. The light is just shining through, like you said. And I just think that's an opportunity for us to influence without feeling like it has to be this grandiose, big stage moment. Because in our culture, we like in social media culture, platform culture, even from people who have microphones and platforms and podcasts, we like those big, amazing electric moments. But I think it's the little quiet moments where God sometimes does his best work. And he can elevate you to sometimes be on a Grammy stage. He can. He has for me. But God knows my heart. That was never my all in all goal. That wasn't something I put my heart in.
Yeah.
I didn't the Grammy is great, but my validation, my faithfulness to God was not tied to it. And maybe sometimes that's what God gives you the things that you desire anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
because he can trust you with it.
He can trust you with it. But if you keep wanting it so bad, he's like, bro, I can't even I can't even give it to you. So yeah, I think that's a lot. That's pretty much all I got to say on that. Me, I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel like, yeah, it's a great convo. Just kind of letting that simmer. But yeah, I appreciate you for always just encouraging the listeners and honestly encouraging me. And as we try to be in these spaces to reflect his goodness, especially being in the music business where art, culture, faith, being Black, and Atlanta, all these things intersect.
Yeah,
we're still called to live out the 116 life and be unashamed. But I
want to spotlight you because what started this whole conversation was you being aware. I think like how you said how sometimes we lack the awareness of knowing that we are in it, but we're not of it.
Sure,
so we're able to with the things that we consume, you know what I'm saying? Like that, I'm not gonna that challenged me even when we're talking about the this media, and I think with the halftime show, being able to see certain things and consume it, but then not let it being particular of what we're able to see as okay, not forget the things that we were raised on.
Sometimes you can consume it, but you don't always have to digest it.
Yes, thank you.
It's like, all right, this ain't going through me.
Right, exactly.
This is just all right.
I acknowledge you for being able to consume it, but not digest it. You know what I'm saying? And then I think that even challenges me. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta highlight the fact that what you said, where your influence doesn't mean you have a camera in front of you or mics in front of you. It's the little things. It's the stranger you meet today.
For sure.
It's your mom who you're talking to on the phone.
For sure.
It's like influence goes all over the spectrum, and we gotta be able to let that influence shine through.
For sure, man. You killed that, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Y'all, this is not what we're supposed to have talked about. I need y'all to understand that. Like that's this conversation, I feel like, is just so needed. With us are talking about purpose a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
You know, purpose, there's influence in purpose. You know what I'm saying? That was intentionally planted in. So knowing that regardless of what you do, no matter big how small, there's influence in that, you got to be able to be intentional and steward that.
For sure. Absolutely.
That's so dope, man. Listen, shout out to everyone that's tuned in. Like, if you got something out of this episode, be sure to share it with somebody. Share this episode with someone you know. Let us know on social media, like, how this episode impacted you. And let us know even if there are other things you want for us to dive in on here. We're super open. Like how we said, like, this wasn't even our initial conversation, but the way things flow, we would love to hear what you guys, what you guys get out of it and how we can even expound on it. But listen, as always here, it's the 116 Live here with Ace Harris, Meah Evans here, signing off. Another great episode here on Holy Culture, Sirius XM Channel 140. And as always, we'll see you guys next week.